This episode of the A.T.TIPSCAST is sponsored by TextHelp. Kids struggling with reading and writing? Get them the support they need with Read and Write software for the desktop, Google, or iPad. These proven software solutions help those with reading and writing difficulties, learning disabilities, or English language learners. Read and Write Gold text-to-speech software provides tools for reading, writing, studying, and research for students while they work within the common applications they use every day. Read and Write for Google provides support tools for Google Docs, PDFs, and EPUBs in Chrome on PCs, Macs, and Chromebooks to make Google Apps for Education accessible. And iRead and Write makes reading easier and ensures accurate writing as students use their iPad for school, work, or leisure. Learn how the Read and Write family of products can help your struggling student by visiting texthelp.com or by calling 1-888-248-0652. That's 1-888-248-0652. Get a free trial of Read and Write Gold or Read and Write for Google today. Have students with IEPs? Take advantage of the Read and Write Gold IEP special. Ready to buy now? Get 10% off a purchase on their online store with the code A.T.TIPS14SAVE10. That's A.T.TIPS14SAVE10. This offer expires on March 31st, 2014. Get your copy today.
Hi, I'm David Jackson. I'm a speech therapist and technology consultant for the Greater Lafayette Area Special Services in Lafayette, Indiana. And I'm here at Patents 2013. I got to meet my guy, Chris Bouguet. He's a great blogger and podcaster. That's the right word. I've learned so much from A.T.TIPSCAST. It's the greatest ever. I feel like I know him. I know his wife, his kids. It's something that everybody needs to listen to. There are so many great tips at A.T.TIPSCAST. It is just awesome.
Welcome to the A.T.TIPSCAST, where we brainstorm different ways to provide more options for students as they journey through their education. I'm your host, Chris Bouguet. This is episode 127, recorded on December 15th, 2013. I travel in the car a lot for my job. I'm probably in my car 90 minutes a day on average. That's a lot of driving. As you might have guessed, I listen to a lot of podcasts, and what I listen to changes constantly depending on what I'm interested in, what I'm working on, and what I want to learn more about. Over the years, though, there are a few staples to which I've always listened. They were with me when I was downloading audio files and burning them to CDs. They were with me when I got my first iPod, and they've been with me ever since. They're a source of inspiration when I'm writing nightlight stories, and if they inspire me, they might just inspire students as well. A.T.TIPS 404 through 408 are portals to magical lands, alternate dimensions, and spine-tingling horrors, all of which you experience within your own mind's eye when you listen to audio fiction. The act of reading can be broken up into component parts: decoding, fluency, and comprehension. Oh, I'm sure reading can be dissected even more than those three components, but those are the parts I'm asked to support most frequently. Decoding is the skill of figuring out the sounds that make up a word. Fluency is how smoothly one speaks printed or digital text aloud. Comprehension is the skill of understanding what is being read. Audio fiction helps improve the process of reading, especially the fluency and comprehension components. In fact, there's been a lot of research done on this subject, and I've listed a collection of this research over at bit.ly/audiostoriesimprovereading. Knowing that audio stories improve reading, listening to audio stories is one of my go-to recommendations for almost any student with reading goals, and for younger students, it's kind of an easy sell. But once students reach the upper middle and high school grade levels, the pressures of school and additional time constraints often make listening centers dissolve into nothingness. In fact, unless they're hiding under an invisibility cloak, I don't often see many listening stations at the secondary level, despite the fact that listening to audio stories can help students improve their reading abilities. Imagine a teacher describing a lesson where a group of students were going to read the same book. She might even tease the activity by showing a trailer for the book or describing a quick synopsis. The students are all excited to dig in to find out more about the characters, the setting, the plot, the conflict, and the potential resolution. The teacher assigns the first chapter and expects everyone to read it for homework. Now imagine the student who struggles with reading the text at the same pace or in the same way as his or her classmates. Now imagine that activity over and over and over again throughout that student's educational career. When I was in school, a bunch of my friends used to love to play basketball. I'd play with them, but I wasn't very good at it and I didn't enjoy it very much. But I played because I wanted to be with my friends. I wanted to be included. Game after game, I'd play and I wouldn't enjoy myself. I felt pressured, uneasy, uncomfortable, and, to put it simply, the entire experience just sucked. Eventually, I just stopped playing basketball and I'd come up with excuses for why I'd rather not play. That was basketball. I could get away with not playing basketball in my life. But what if it had been reading? That's where audio stories can help a middle or high school student. Imagine years of feeling that pressure every time you're expected to read, and knowing that it's going to be hard for you. It isn't surprising that there are students who'd rather just not participate in the whole darn thing. Audio fiction gives students the opportunity to enjoy the content and fall in love with the story. Students can also listen to fluent readers narrate the story, modeling pitch, pace, and intonation. Students who listen to audio fiction can participate in the discussions about the aspects of the story without relying on decoding the text. There are a number of podcasts that offer free audio fiction. In fact, there are too many to mention in just one episode, so I'm going to keep it to a few of my favorites. Cast of Wonders, A.T.TIP 404, is a podcast featuring stories specifically selected for a young adult audience. Each story has some fantastical element which are perfect for engaging young minds. A.T.TIP 404 through 407 all belong to the same family of podcasts. The Escape Artist podcasts are 3 separate podcasts, each covering a different genre of fiction. The flagship podcast, or maybe it's better to say mothership, of the 3 is called EscapePod, featuring science fiction stories. Spaceships, aliens, laser beams, alternative histories, time travel, and any other sci-fi trope you can think of are all represented. If you have students who are into Star Wars, Star Trek, Doctor Who, Battlestar Galactica, or any other popular science fiction franchise, they'll love listening to EscapePod. Most episodes are tagged on the website with an age range, such as 10 and up, 13 and up, and 17 and up. Often these ratings are provided at the beginning of the audio file as well. Podcastle, A.T.TIP 406, is akin to Cast of Wonders in that it features stories in the realm of fantasy. Knights, dragons, castles, fairies, elves, superheroes, and other fantastical elements can be found over at Podcastle. Students who like The Hobbit, World of Warcraft, Dungeons & Dragons, Minecraft, Skyrim, the Marvel and DC superhero movies, or any other popular fantasy franchises will enjoy the stories over at Podcastle. The final podcast in the Escape Artist family is, of course, the most evil. A.T.TIP 407, PseudoPod, is the black sheep of the Escape Artist family. The stories at PseudoPod explore all aspects of horror, from creepy crawlies to dark comedies. Students who like The Walking Dead, American Horror Story, ghost stories, and vampire flicks will enjoy the freaky stories at PseudoPod. Of course, these are horror stories, so there might be less here to draw upon if you're worried about appropriateness for listening in a school environment, but I'd argue that engagement and inspiration trumps all when it comes to enjoying literature. Each podcast follows a similar format, starting with an introduction before the story, then the recording of the story, and then a few concluding thoughts by the host. All of these podcasts also have corresponding discussion forums related to each story. Students can visit the forums to discuss the stories. Not only do the forums provide an opportunity for students to practice reading, like reading the comments from other listeners, but they also provide an opportunity for students to engage in an authentic writing practice. They're not just writing to write for the teacher, they could be writing comments for other listeners and for the authors of the story. Let me leave you with one last idea with regard to audio stories for education. Many schools give out pencils in the office as birthday gifts for students. Come on down to the office to get your birthday pencil. Many teachers give out pencils and erasers as prizes for good behavior. A pack of 50 audio CDs costs about $15, give or take, depending on where you get it. A box of pencils costs about the same. Let's call giving out CDs with audio stories as prizes and gifts as A.T.TIP 408. For students that have devices, they might ditch the CDs and just download the stories directly to whatever device they use. But for students that don't have devices, they can listen to the audio CDs in the car, in their home computer, or in a regular old CD player. Help students improve their comprehension and fluency skills by listening to literature. Help them fall in love with fiction. Give your students the gift of free audio stories. I hope you enjoy the stories, and I hope your students do too. I'll have links to all the websites for those podcasts over at A.T.TIPSCAST.com. I do hope you come check them out. I just have a few quick announcements before wrapping up the episode. First, I wanted to thank David Jackson for the bumper you heard at the beginning of this show. I met David at the Patents Conference in Indianapolis. He came up to me before a presentation, introduced himself, and let me know he was a listener to the show. Thanks, David. Keep up all the good work you're doing out there in the Midwest. It was great to meet you. Now for a big announcement. In order to tell you about this one, I gathered the entire family around. Have a listen. Hey everybody, I got some news. The A.T.TIPSCAST and A.T. of L2Go have been nominated for EduBlog Awards.
Woohoo! Yay!
What do you think people should do?
I think they should blow up a balloon and have a tutu party.
Ooh, I like that idea. Blow up balloons and have a tutu party?
I think we should vote.
Vote? How do you vote?
I don't know.
You're going to put it on your blog, aren't you?
At the ATTIPScast.com, right? There'll be instructions on how to do it. But you go over to EduBlog Awards and you vote for the AT.TIPSCAST.
And A.T. of L2Go.
Right. AT.TIPSCAST is in the category of Best Podcast or Google Hangout, and A.T. of L2Go is in the category of
Best Mobile App.
And I think you'll be really interested once you go up and find A.T.TIPSCAST or A.T. to go or anything that my mom and dad make. I think you're going to be interested.
I don't know what to say. It's just a really cool podcast.
All right, thanks, everybody. So you think everybody should go and vote?
Yeah.
Vote.
Vote, vote.
That's right. The AT.TIPScast made it on the short list of nominees for the 2013 EduBlog Awards in the category of Best Podcast or Google Hangout. You might remember that the AT.TIPScast took home the top prize last year. This year, they've changed the voting process and they're using a free service called Listly. This means you need to sign in using either a Facebook, LinkedIn, Google+, or Twitter account in order to vote. Voting ends on December 18th. Yikes, that's like a few days from now. So if you can, please head over to edublogawards.com, click on Best Podcast or Google Hangout category, and register your vote. Now that the EduBlog Awards is using Listly, anyone can see just how many votes have been received and by whom for each of the nominees. The AT.TIPScast is currently in 7th place, so it really needs your help to move up in the rankings. If you found the AT.TIPScast to be a cool form of professional development, then please give it your vote. But guess what? The A.T.TIPScast isn't the only project I've worked on that's nominated for an EduBlog Award this year. A.T. of L2Go, the app that helps people conduct assistive technology consultations and evaluations, has also made the short list in the category of Best Mobile App. That's right, our little app is currently in 3rd place, and by only 1 vote. It's hanging in there with the big boys of Twitter, Dropbox, Evernote, and even more. The margins between the nominees in that category are razor thin. Your vote could be the vote that makes all the difference. I wrote a blog post over at bit.ly/eddies13 that has pictures and explains how to vote if you have any questions. Thanks in advance for all your votes and for all of your support. Finally, I want to remind you that I'll be doing a pre-conference down at ATIA in Orlando on January 28th and 29th with Beth Poss. We're calling it a digital make and take, where we'll help you formulate a vision and then actually build that vision out, so you leave the pre-conference with something you've built. Maybe you've wanted to start your own podcast or blog or create a glog or do your own strategy a day calendar or make some sort of digital resource. We'll give you the tools to fully realize your vision. You can learn more over at bit.ly/digdeeper2014. Until next time, may all your interventions be inclusive, may all your strategies be supportive, and may all the stories you listen to be a catalyst for inspiration. Happy holidays and Happy New Year, everyone. See you in 2014.